Honda just announced their electrification strategy for the next 20 years. And it appears as though they're doing three things: plagiarizing the Cybertruck, getting a Chinese company to make EVs for them in China, and getting General Motors to make their EVs in the United States. Outside of those three things, they don't have a lot planned other than bankruptcy. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electric Viking. Fantastic to see you here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for your support. It means a lot. Liking the videos, watching the videos, and really supporting what this channel is all about. That is honesty, telling you how it is, not making things up so you like me, telling you how it is, telling you what's really going on in the automotive world, and promoting electric cars, sustainable transport, sustainable energy, renewable energy, and just promoting a better planet for all of us and all of our kids as well. Now, unfortunately, Honda plays very little part in that better world because they have shown a very clear disinterest in moving with the future. Now, the CEO of Volkswagen, Herbert Diess, just said today to his own company that unless they electrify their fleet faster than what they're already planning on, which is pretty good, then they're going to lose 30,000 jobs in Europe. He is concerned that they are not going quick enough to electrify their entire fleet. And he says they're going to lose jobs. Now, the CEO of Toyota, by the way, who is obviously an anti-EV Luddite, said something similar. He said that it's possible the Japanese car industry could lose basically 80% of their workforce, 5.5 million jobs by 2030, unless the Japanese government steps in and starts forcing people to not buy EVs. That's basically what he said, reading between the lines. Well, Honda has shared details of a comprehensive, maybe not so comprehensive, of its electrification strategy that includes 2 production vehicles and 3 concepts donning a new EN series electric branding. I like the naming. The naming is good. The vehicles, maybe not so much. Now, the Japanese automaker plans to introduce 10 Honda brand EV models in the next 5 years, but only in China, nowhere else. That being said, Honda stated that it envisions exporting these models from China as well, maybe someday, if they still exist. As an outlet focused specifically on electromobility, Honda is not an automaker that the electric often covers. This article comes to you from at least the information from the electric and from other sources as well. Now, while Honda has previously shared goals to have 100% electric sales by 2040, not actually 100% electric, 100% hydrogen fuel cell and electric and hybrid sales by 2040, depending upon what customers want. Well, Honda's losing market share right now in China and in other countries because they're not providing what customers want. They only have one EV on the market, and it's really only for sale in Europe and Japan in very limited quantities. And it is extremely expensive, therefore it's not really selling. There is vehicles in China that are similar in terms of performance, battery size, vehicle size, infotainment, luxury, everything else, that are 1/3 of the cost. 1/3. Wow. Now, in terms of electric vehicles, Honda is way behind the rest of the industry. In fact, the automaker currently offers just one fully electric vehicle, the Honda E. Just recently, Honda shared that its first volume electric vehicle, the Prologue, is coming to the United States in 2024, and it will be based on GM's Ultium electric platform. The reason being, they haven't made their own. They're just not interested. Now they're just going to get other companies to build their cars for them, it seems. Following the 70,000 unit production capacity of the Prologue in 2024, Honda is anticipating sales of 500,000 electric cars in 2030. 500,000 in 2030. Now, in 2019, Honda sold 5.3 million vehicles worldwide. In 2020, Honda sold 4.8 million vehicles worldwide, and in 2021, they're on pace to sell 4.5 million vehicles worldwide. But they're saying that only 500,000 of their vehicles, all made by other companies, General Motors and GAC in China, will be electric. In other words, only 20% of their vehicles that they're planning to manufacture in 2030 will be electric. Only 20%. Obviously, Honda will lose their market share. They'll go from selling 4.5 million vehicles this year to, well, probably no more than a few 100,000 in 2030. If they still exist, I think the chances of Honda going bankrupt by 2030 are about 95%. And I'd be willing to put money on that probability. Now, Honda has just released images of prototypes for its electric vehicles for China as part of its new strategy. Now, these vehicles to me really look like Honda has plagiarized the Cybertruck. And if you're Tesla, you've got to be looking at these things and laughing. I mean, the Cybertruck was made that way for a reason, a logical reason. It's a pickup truck. It was made to be strong, tough, and the reason it was made that way also was because of fundamental reasons to do with its body structure, its exoskeleton, and because it enabled Tesla to use the special steel 30x cold rolled steel that they used on the Starship, right? Meaning it would be strong and tough and form part of the structure of the vehicle. Now, seeing as Honda has no plans for any of that, it seems wacky to me that they would choose to go in this direction of copying the Cybertruck for vehicles that have, well, no purpose behind them for being rigid or for using steel in the bodywork. Now, in a press release following a virtual press conference yesterday, Honda shared its new electrification strategy for China and unveiled the first 2 vehicles available for consumers overseas. Now remember, Honda clearly is putting pretty much all of its eggs in the one basket, that is the Chinese EV market. But if you've been watching my videos, if you've seen any of my 500 plus videos this year, you would know that China is clearly the most difficult, the most challenging, the most incredibly competitive EV market in the world. And I mean, it is not close. There is not a close second place. It is China here and then Europe here and, everyone else down there. But China is the place you go to prove yourself, the place you go if you want the hardest fight you can have. Honda has no idea what they are doing. So they are simply exporting all of their manufacturing to an existing car company in China that makes EVs right now, and they're going to stick a badge on the front of them and call them a Honda. Now that's what some American home appliances did back in the 80s. Some American home appliance companies stopped making their products in America, began making them in China, and just rebadged them and called them, well, whatever their brand was. Now, this is what's happened to much of the manufacturing industry. It's not just some American companies. In fact, most companies now outsource their manufacturing to China and then rebrand the product, stick a label on the top of it, paint over it, whatever they do to market it as their own product. Now, furthermore, Honda shared that all new models in China after 2030 will be electric, but this includes hybrids, not solely electric cars. So Honda believe that the Chinese will still want their hybrids in 2031, 2032, 2033 and onwards. This to me is an utterly ludicrous idea. Honda clearly has no interest in looking at sales charts. They have no interest in looking at what's happening in the market in China. They clearly have no one working in their company which is taking even the slightest bit of interest in what is going on in the global automotive market and specifically what is going on in the Chinese auto market this year. Now, Honda actually plans to continue its current ICE model production inside and out of China past 2030. They genuinely believe that with 80% of their car lineup being not electrified after 2030, people will still be buying their ancient vehicles. Now, apparently 2 production models have been developed and are scheduled to go on sale in the spring of 2022 as part of Honda's new electric EN series per Honda, but only in China. The name EN represents Honda's desire to energize people who are trying to do things based on their own initiative in this era of electrification, but not until 2030. The E is from E Technology, the collective brand name for Honda's electrification technologies with which Honda strives for carbon neutrality. Okay, I'm going to stop there because their marketing, just reading it's making me want to laugh. Anyway, these new EVs include the ENS1. I like the name of that. It has a cool name, ENS1. Produced as a joint venture of Dongfeng Honda, and the ENP1 from GAC Honda. So Honda's getting two different Chinese automotive companies to make their electric cars. One reason, they have no battery supply. They can just say, hey Dongfeng, hey GAC, you get us the batteries, you get us the cars, we'll pay you some money, we'll stick a badge on the front, and we'll sell them in China. Now, Honda shared plans to introduce a total of 10 EN series models over the next 5 years, including 3 concepts it unveiled today from the Cybertruck infant delivery ward. This includes an EN Coupe concept, EN SUV concept, and EN GT concept, and Honda stated its goal is to start sales of these 3 additional electric models within the next 5 years, but they didn't say when, because they probably don't know. So, will Honda sell electric vehicles outside of China? So far, Honda's focus is strictly on China, strictly on the most difficult market in the world. Why do I say difficult? Well, there is like 400 EV brands in China, all competing on price, on everything, on features, on so challenging. Now, however, the Japanese automaker said it envisions exporting these models from China whenever and wherever that may be. So in other words, Honda's cars globally will eventually all become vehicles made by Dongfeng and GAC. This was mentioned specifically alongside the timeline to begin sales of its 3 concept EVs from the EN series by 2025. So perhaps Honda will look to export those models to other markets around that same time. Now, Honda currently has 2 new production plants dedicated specifically to electric vehicles planned for both GAC Honda and Dongfeng Honda. Their target timeline is 2024 for the start of production. Now, I believe that by 2024, probably 60% of the global automotive market will be electric. And so I think Toyota and Honda will have both missed the boat because basically they won't be selling EVs any more than maybe 5% of their fleets will be EVs by then. So I think what will happen is we'll see that what's happening right now with Volkswagen, Ford and Tesla. Well, Ford and Volkswagen have just said that new buyers of their electric cars are being poached from other brands. Ford said 70% of buyers of the Mach-E come from other brands. Volkswagen said 50% of buyers of their electric cars come from other brands. They're poaching people from other brands because that other brand won't sell them an EV, doesn't have an EV to sell them. So imagine by 2024, when all these other brands have poached buyers from Toyota and Honda, what will happen to their market? Now, a large EV production footprint opens the door for the possibility of Honda's EVs going to other markets, but the automaker still has some major catching up to do globally, not just in China. This is way too little, too late. Now, if you haven't already seen my video about Honda announcing they're going to go bankrupt, I'll put a link in the description below and you can check that out. Now, as Electric said, Honda's progress compared to Toyota makes the latter look like it'll soon be joining the likes of Betamax, HD, DVD, and Zune. Now, truthfully, as you can see, I am rooting against Honda. I don't like what the Japanese auto market is doing. I don't like the fact that they're literally promoting anti-EVs. They're promoting myths and untruths and lying about EVs. They've been doing this for years, so they may have stopped a few months ago. I don't care. Once you lie, and you lie to me a few times, and you keep on trying to do it, and then you keep on trying to con the market. There's people in the market looking for cars who just don't know. And if you start paying for ads that lie about EVs and promote the amazingness of hybrids and how they don't pollute, which is just nonsense, and then start saying if the entire market goes electric, it's bad for the planet. And they've said so many negative things, Honda and Toyota, that I simply am gunning for them to go bankrupt. So, do I have a little bit of bias here in this case? Actually, I don't think I do. Because, to be honest, I've looked at all the numbers. The numbers say Honda are going to go bankrupt. And if they don't, the only reason they won't is because they're just selling cars that are not made by them. But in the end, how long can that strategy work for? Because GAC make electric vehicles as well. So do Dongfeng. And of course, they'll be able to sell the same exact vehicles as Honda, as they're selling for Honda, at a lower price, probably a much lower price, because they don't have to put the Honda price tag on top. So how does Honda long-term compete with that? How does Honda long-term compete with Tesla? How does Honda long-term compete with BYD? How do they do this long-term? By simply outsourcing production and then just trying to ship their vehicles from China all around the world. Buyers will know this is what they're doing and they'll decide to buy EVs from other people. Well, remember, for the next 10 years, you probably won't be able to buy a Honda EV in most countries in the world anyway. So they will have lost market share by the time this happens, regardless. Now, personally, I've seen people criticizing the design of the Cybertruck. I like it. I know a lot of you don't. But if the Cybertruck design is really so bad, then why is Honda putting its design elements, very obvious ones, in all of their new cars? All I see in these images here are silver flat planes, hard creases, sharp corners, and the same steel color as the Cybertruck. Honda clearly were not doing that prior to the Cybertruck. Now, between Tesla, BYD, XPeng, NIO, and all the many other Chinese electric car makers who are building EVs today very successfully, Honda will have not much of a market left in China by 2030. Thank you for watching the videos. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. And thanks for your support. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.